and welcome to the Nerdy Brit YouTube channel. So guess what? Today we're in a little bit of a different place. So we're not in the usual bedroom, the conservatory or anything like that. We are in London. Yes, the Budweiser bug has let us leave our house, and today we're going to do something I'm very excited about. We're going to be going to Doctor Who Time Fracture. I'm hoping you know what this is, because otherwise why would you have clicked a video about Doctor Who Time Fracture? Pretty much it's a cool West End live experience. So I'm gonna go give my review. I haven't actually done it yet. I'm probably gonna, but I'm excited because there's gonna be like some of the cast is involved. I know Jodie Whittaker, like Joe Martin. I know some of the classic Doctors have got involved. I think Kate Lethbridge-Stewart is doing some stuff. Obviously, through pre-recorded cameos, but I mean, Doctor Who live immersive. It isn't even an escape room, because it's proper London West End thing. So I'm excited. Stay tuned for my thoughts. So, and we are out. I reckon that, how long do you reckon that took? Yeah, so it took about 2 hours and a half. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on with the rest of the day, and when I'm back at the Travelodge, I'm going to give you my review. Actually, we're back at the house. Yeah, there was literally no time to film an actual review in London, but the London vlog will be up soon, so I'm subscribed for that. So, my thoughts on Time Fracture. When I came out of Time Fracture, I was searching for my reasoning why I enjoyed it. Because I really wanted to enjoy Time Fracture, and most people have gone in and given positive reviews, and I'm really confused why I didn't enjoy Time Fracture. Or at least I was confused. I've thought it through, and I do know many reasons why, if I'm completely honest, Time Fracture was really disappointing. No spoilers. It's not just a film that's been out for a while that I can just casually spoil. It's an interactive thing. It would be wrong of me to give someone the ability to spoil it for others. But there'll be vague hints for people who've seen it, so they'll know what I'm talking about. But for people who haven't, there's nothing spoilery here for you. You already paid for it. You can maybe see why to I don't know, limit your expectations. If you have seen it, maybe we can have a discussion. That's what I actually really need to talk to someone about Time Fracture. So please be that person in the comments to help me through this. So, to summarise, the more I think about Time Fracture, the less I like my experience. Now, I think I do have genuine, niggly problems about certain segments, which I'll touch on later, but I won't go into too much spoilers. But my main problem is the lack of story or followable storyline. Not a spoiler to know you start at Unit, because that would be literally the first thing you're told. There's Unit literally all over the doors. You will start at Unit. And yes, from there, you are given the solid basis of storyline, and even in that first early half an hour, there are some great filmed cameos. I do want to give some positives as I go along, trust me. So at Unit, you're given the basis of, the start of the storyline, the setup. And first of all, you spend half an hour hopping between different things, talking to different actors, not really doing much. And they're kind of dancing around the story rather than telling the story. Because they've had to split you up into different groups, you never really get any actual pieces of the story. It's just a lot of Doctor Who nostalgia thrown in. There's a guy that will talk to you about certain monsters and stuff, and it's more nostalgia and there's no story. One thing I don't want at all is for the actors to be criticised, because honestly, the actors were one of the best thing about it. The actors in it were incredible. They really did a good job in trying, at least, to soak us up into the atmosphere. For what the story lacked, the actors tried their best, at least, to make up. If I'm honest, that problem continues through the first 2/3, I'd say. Because there's actually very little plot going on for the entire show. What happens is, in a little group, so you, anyone else in your COVID bubble that you come in with, and then a couple of other groups, you're kind of shunted from different, at first, Unit people, and then through the plot, through the storyline, where you then go, you're shunted through different people in a different way. So what that means is you more have people talking to you, actors doing great, and you're kind of along the lines of the story, but you don't really have much story being told to you at all. It's not really a spoiler, actually, to say that plot is, there is an item, the challenge is to go find it, pretty much, and you go on adventure, and then you find it. And it very much feels like a gap story, which is exactly what the creators kind of want, is that they can kind of take up your time with you meeting different people and talking to them, but you can't get any story details because you don't want anyone else to miss out on the story details. So everything's very vague. And then a lot of it's also just covered by nostalgia. You meet certain like sets of characters, like certain groups. There's some monsters that come in. It's all very covered up with nostalgia, and it feels like they're trying to distract you from the fact there's no story going on, really. Another thing, though, especially in what I'd say is the second quarter, I think most people will agree, there's probably 4 distinct blocks of story. You might do different things, especially in the first 2 blocks, but there are very much distinctly 4 blocks of storytelling. And that second block especially, some of the set design and costumes is incredible. That part, where they could spend the money, they have. My next problem is the third segment. They do creative things with it, but the third segment is literally, you are now on a spaceship as part of your journey, and it is a bar where they sell you drinks. And not only did that take up half an hour of the time, no plot details are happening, but this felt even more cheap because it's a cash grab. They didn't have enough stories, so they filled half an hour of it. Maybe it was a break for the actors, maybe to set up something going forward, but it was also just felt like a cash grab so they could get more money if you bought a can of their beer. James, in editing, I do want to say, it's probably, it's a good idea to probably have, maybe a 10-minute break in there, just for us. I'm not complaining about theatre has intervals all the time. I'm not necessarily complaining about that. It's definitely more the idea they were just trying to get us to buy drinks. Just pretty much trying to force us to buy drinks. We just got water, but they were quite forceful about trying to get us to buy a drink, and that, and the fact that it was half an hour, which definitely cut into the runtime, that didn't sit well with me, and that's kind of what I mean in that segment, not just the fact of, ooh, they had an interval, that's lazy. Now I also want to talk about the finale, and at this point I don't want to give anything away, because I feel like the deeper you go into the story, the more lackluster that will feel, but it's such a bad finale. All I will say is, you are involved very little. It almost feels pantomime-esque, but you feel like if that's where it's happened, that's where the plot would transition more into a straight play, but nothing interesting is going on at all. I mean, you'll have seen my girlfriend in some of the footage, and you'll see her in the London vlog. Please go watch it. But she had no idea, and yeah, I kind of knew what's going on because I know Doctor Who lore, but nothing interesting was going on. Again, everything that feels like it should be 2 minutes is 5 minutes. Everything that feels like it should be 5 minutes ends up being 10. Everything feels stretched to cover over a complete lack of plot. Yes, I have been quite negative. If I'm honest, if I was to give this stars, I'd probably give it 3 out of 5 stars, to be honest. Because yes, it disappointed me, but the sets are gorgeous, the actors are gorgeous, and there are a lot of really spoilery things, and there are a couple of little bits that are so cool. There's one bit in particular featuring a famous monster from the modern era just after the bar, and it's incredible. So there are bits of it that are incredible, and the set design and the costumes. I don't just want to completely crap all over this, but overall, no, I'm sorry, I don't think it's worth the money. And if I'm completely honest, I couldn't genuinely suggest how I'd do better. Not only because I don't want to spoil it, but also, especially in COVID where you've got to keep people separated, it must be quite hard to tell a cohesive story that moves fluidly without taking up too much space with sets, without causing social distancing problems and stuff. But overall, I think they could have done a better job. I think this needed more story. I think they needed a way for people to gain more story elements and people to learn and feel like you're actually doing something. You just felt like you were on the ride, but it's an interactive thing, you know. It isn't the Doctor Who musical. Like, that'd be a thing. That should be a thing. Also, John Barrowman should have been in this. I'm going to mention this again, but they cut him because of the stupid controversy. John Barrowman should have been in this because this is fan service, and I think John Barrowman deserved to be in this because the fans love him, and the fact that you just cast him aside like that is disgusting, and it distracted me throughout the experience. It distracted me knowing that John Barrowman wasn't there, and when you're in a piece of theatre, you don't want to be taken out by elements in the outside world, but that's what happened. That would have happened during Guardians 3 if James Gunn had still been fired. Rehire John Barrowman. Like I said, I'm actually really craving some discussion over this piece of theatre. At the end of the day, I think it's a piece of theatre that deserves to be openly criticised. I know some people will tell me that, oh, it's a piece of Doctor Who theatre, you can't judge it compared to regular theatre. But if I'm completely honest, I won't tell you how much these tickets cost me. It's very easy to find out for yourself. But you're paying theatre prices, and if you compared it to a regular theatre, you're paying for good seats at a popular musical. And therefore, I expect that standard, and I also expect to be allowed to critique it at that standard. And unfortunately, I think a lot of elements did fall short for me. Comment section, subscribe button, like button, it's all down there. Go do it, you legends. Always Doctor Who content is on the way, and thank you very much.
This is Willany, and if you're not already subscribed to the Nerdy Brit, right, you should be, right? If you're not, you're a loser too.